Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Real Talk, the Real Madrid podcast. So, as you can see in the title of this video, of this episode, this is going to be a Madrid news episode. So, I wanted to do the review of the Elche game, but then it left a bitter taste in my mouth. I didn't know if I really wanted to get into that. But I decided that I will continue on forward and not talk about it, and then I looked forward to the Olympiacos game. But then in the span, and this is so funny, in the span of the Elche game to the Olympiacos game, that's today, the time I'm recording and posting this episode, there's been a lot that has happened. That's an understatement of the year, by the way. There's a lot that has happened in this club, and I want to talk about it. I thought I need to talk about this. So, we're going to not waste time, but I will break it down for you at the start. And I think maybe I'll put some timestamps on this one for those of you on YouTube so that you can skip through it. We're going to be talking about the Elche game, first of all. Then we're going to be talking about the Olympiacos game. And then we're going to be talking about the defensive crisis we're facing right now with our injuries. And then we're going to be going into some off-pitch and media headlines just to talk about, because you know that if it was a Madrid news episode, you clicked on this knowing what this was going to be about. So without wasting any time, let's get straight into it. So, first and foremost, we have to start by talking about that Elche game. Real Madrid's winless streak continues. We now have gone, I think it's 3 games, if not 2. We have gone 2 games since the Liverpool one. No, we have gone 3 games without a win. We drew 2-2 against Elche away in the Liga on Sunday, following a 0-0 draw against Rayo Vallecano and a 1-0 loss to Liverpool in the Champions League. It means we have now gone 3 games without attaining 3 points. We have gone 3 games and had 2 points attained of a possible 6. We have not won a single match in 3 games. This, across all competitions, means that we're still going on a winless streak. Hopefully, we pray that it ends today. But dropping points in the Liga in back-to-back games was very costly for us, because now we are feeling the pressure from Barcelona, who are now 1 point behind us. Though it is not all bad, because there's still hope. It's unfortunate, and it's very, very, very tempting for me not to get so pissed off talking about this, that we were 8 points ahead of them and had a very good run of games, and then now we're 1 point behind because Barcelona did win. That game was not our best game of the season. Elche had complete control of us. We've lost the gel, and I feared this would happen. The Rayo draw scared me, but the Liverpool game, just like last season when we lost to Liverpool, I feared that this shouldn't happen again, where we start to lose that gel, we start to lose that mesh. Our team is not cohesive enough again. I don't want to start going back, because you guys have seen how this season has been, man. It's just, I get tired. We came back from the international break. I was all happy. I said I get to watch my team play, and then I watched my team play, and then my team played like this, and now I just want to go back to the international breaks, but I don't want to, because I hate that we had so many flipping international breaks. But it's up and down. It's just too up and down. In my opinion, that's how I'll sum it up. For the game, I didn't actually watch it. I watched highlights. I watched some reviews. It was a poor game from us in general. Had some good highlights. Jude Bellingham was good. He had his goal. There was some controversy with the Dean Huijsen goal, who got his, I think that should be his first goal for us in the season. But overall, not a good game. Sorry, Elche completely outclassed us. Our former player, by the way, I saw that one. Our former player Alvaro scored against us, and then when I saw him score, I now realized that we actually sold this guy, or I don't know if he's alone, but that actually shocked me, because I forgot about him and I loved him. I remember when he scored against Atletico Madrid, but apparently we had loaned him out. So I don't want to talk about the Elche game. For me, I didn't watch it. I didn't really like it. My biggest takeaway from all that is just we need to just become more serious in the league moving forward, because we've now put ourselves on a knife. I was talking about how it would be good to beat Barcelona, get a 5-point lead back in our Clasico week, and then I said, because then they would need us to drop 2 games, and I don't see us doing that realistically now. And then I said it's not the best position, but even if we had lost, we would come back. But then we won, and then they did, drop points again, and then we won and win 8 points ahead, and then we did do what I said would be impossible in dropping 6 points, only collecting about 2 out of a possible 6 points from 2 games. They won and got those 6 points, and now they're 1 point behind us. They're literally on our necks, and I'm not even going to be shocked if it means that, we're eventually going to drop a point, and then they're just going to go back to the top of the table. But for right now, we're 1 point ahead. We have to keep our heads straight. We have to hope that Barcelona fumble like they did yesterday in the Champions League, by the way. That's why I want to record this now. I just want to watch the Chelsea game. And can I just say, I'm going to be talking about that later. I'm going to be talking about that in another episode. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is our next fixture. Because in the Champions League, we are about to play. Later on today, we're going to be playing Olympiacos. We are playing away at Olympiacos amidst all this pressure. We're preparing for a key Champions League phase match. We need to make sure we win this game. This is very crucial to getting the team back to the winning ways and alleviating the increasing pressure on the coach. Because after these recent games, he has a lot to do, Mr. Xavi Alonso. We'll talk about him later in this episode. Maybe not for the best of reasons, but he has a big role now. Now his job, it's spinning. Not that he'll get sacked. Even with what I'm going to talk about later, I don't believe in just sacking a manager. If you see there's no vision, of course, don't force things. It can go worse down the season. But this game has to be a win. Before I was saying, remember when I told you guys we have 8 games in the league phase. You have to win 5. You can afford 2 losses, and you get 1 draw, because that's what 17 points or 16 points. I said you can make like top 8, maybe number 8. But we're in a fortunate position. Luck has smiled on us. Arsenal and Barcelona. Oh, sorry. Definitely not Barcelona. Arsenal and Bayern Munich sit at the top of the table. They both have 12 points from the 4 games played. But they're playing each other later today. The fixture is happening. The 2 highest performing teams in the Champions League right now are about to play each other. One of them is inevitably dropping points, or both of them is inevitably dropping points. They will either draw and share a point each, or lose, have 1 go to 15 and 1 stay on 12. We sit at 4th with 9 points. So if we win, we're not going second. Just forget about that. There's still a very big goal difference margin between us and Arsenal at second, because we would have to beat Olympiacos, I think, about 5-0 to get into that second position. Inter Milan also are certifyingly going above whoever loses this match. I believe so. But it does place us. We can take that 4th spot. I think Chelsea have it now after that win against Barcelona, and then City should be 5th. City lost, so they've certified their position at 10 points. We can win and go to 12. We can get above Chelsea. We can go above, take that top spot at number 4. Our next game in the Champions League will be Manchester City. I am now praying that game is a win. At first I was like, we can afford to lose those 2 against the English teams, but now, because of also what I'm going to talk about later, and the fact that if we win today and go to 4th, that beating City certifies us. Winning now sort of puts the pen on the paper, but beating City is signing the check. You said, okay, we've won, because if we can get out of the 6 games we'll play, City being our 6th one, Olympiacos is the 5th game we're about to play. If you tell me out of those 6 games we've only lost 1 and won 5, that's 15 points. That's certifying me that we're in the top 8 safe. Barcelona right now, they're like us last season at this period. When I think this was around the time we lost to Liverpool, and then we had gone to lose to AC Milan in our 5th game. It's showing that you reaching the top 8 is a slim chance. You're just going to be hoping for impossible. Just start preparing to play that playoff phase, which is where we ended up. And I don't want us to be in that playoff phase again, because it just really takes too much out of the players. It makes them tired. It makes them slacky. It's an extra 2 unnecessary games that you don't want to play. So I hope we can beat Olympiacos. We have a strong team. We have to have that gel. I can't finish talking about this without getting to the thing I'll talk about later, just after my next point. So I'll pause on this, and I'll leave it at the point where I said we need to have a strong team, and get back to that in a bit. The next thing I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is our defensive injury crisis is getting worse. Dean Huijsen has now joined the long list of defenders who are out, including players like Rudiger and Carvajal. The club, Real Madrid, right now is dealing with a significant number of defensive injuries. It's getting crazy. By the way, some key players we're going to be missing in that game is Militao, Carvajal, Rudiger, as those 2 we already knew. Now Dean Huijsen is going to be there, and Thibaut Courtois, unfortunately, has joined that list too. He is having, I think he had an illness, if I'm not mistaken, or he had like some gastritis type of sickness. He's out for this game. We're going to be playing Lunin, who I don't think has played a single game since the season started. So he's got to be prepared to lace those gloves up and play his best, because there are going to be absolutely no excuses. He has to be at his best. He has to be at his full-on potential, serious. He has to be moving. He has to be saving. The defense is going to be shaky. No Dean Huijsen means we're probably going to play Lunin at the back as goalkeeper, of course. We're going to probably be playing Trent now. I think, realistically for me, if he's healthy, if he's ready, I want Trent to start. I don't want Valverde at right back. We have too much to be risking out another midfielder. So I want right back Trent. Of course, Carreras is fit. He'll be playing at the left back position. The two center backs now, I don't know who we're going to play, but I'm sure it's going to be Asensio. And who do we have reliable? I need to check that one. I'll get back to you at the end of the episode, but I don't even know who we're going to play in center back because Alaba, of course, I think he's still injured. Militao is now injured. Rudiger is injured. Dean Huijsen is injured. Carvajal is injured. So I don't know who we're going to be playing. We might be playing Tchouaméni. I think he's probably going to drop Tchouaméni into that center back position. Yes. And then the problem is when he does that, he's more inclined to put in Valverde on that right back position. But for me, I actually want to see Trent start this game. I know it's a bit of a risk. He's still coming back from injury. He's still not fully 100%, but I think he's good enough. I want to see Trent. The midfield three, because yes, I want us to play a 4-3-3. The midfield three needs to be Camavinga, Bellingham, and Valverde. I want that three. Up top, I don't know if you're going to do that little 4-2-3-1 thing he does, but the three up top, remaining three who are in that team, of course, Mr. Kylian Mbappe. I want to see Arda Güler coming up from the right, because Mastantuano Ozwino is still injured. Or yeah, still injured or sick, whatever you want to call it. But now this is the big one, because it's leading into my next point. I have no excuses. I know there's tension going on. I know he might want to make a statement, but for the sake of all intents and purposes, if I look at that left side of our attack in this coming game against Olympiacos later on today, and I do not see Mr. Vinicius Jr. in that position, we're going to have words. I know, and I'm now just tying it into my next point, because that was my other point, that we're having defensive crisis, but now I'm talking about this main point. Off the pitch. It's no stranger. In the news, in the media, it hit recently. I think it was on Saturday, just following the Elche game. Vinicius Jr. was, of course, on the bench when he started the match, and then came on later on just to play a few minutes. I think he played like the last 20-30 minutes. I really didn't watch the Elche game. My bad, guys. But that's not what matters. What matters now is what came out of the Spanish media. Vinicius Jr. allegedly, or apparently, or breakingly has informed Florentino Perez that he will not be signing a contract extension as long as his time in the club with Xavi Alonso remains as heated as it is right now. It's no stranger. We've been talking about this. We talked about it. We knew this. We've been talking about this from the Club World Cup. We've talked about this just when Mbappe came in and how we started intricating him in his system and making him more of that main guy, making him be able to be free even at times to sillily, and I'm creating a fake word for this because it's silly, but I don't know the verb of that, of doing it, but sillily go into Vinicius' left position. And then it started to cause a clash. And what was his solution? He started taking Vinicius out more, even when Vinicius was healthy. In games like the El Clasico, Vinicius played at his best. Took him out. You know there's tension. There's been tension, and now he said that. I have two ways to feel about what's happening. But before I get into that, and then the other day, I see another media break, another outbreak in the media that says now it's more than just Vinicius and Xavi Alonso and Perez being involved in this. It's a team thing. Xavi Alonso is apparently losing the bench. But the reports from Spanish media like Mundo have been saying that he has been losing the bench since the Club World Cup. I believe this now. I'll get into my reasons. One, it's obviously we can't hide away from the glossing fact that this is a different regime. This is a different manager. It's a different style of managing. And he's not obviously going to be the most liked because he's coming from what I think would be players like Vinicius, players like Rodrigo, players like Valverde, their favorite manager of their lives, which is Carlo Ancelotti. That man created a system. We called it, remember, if you go back and check all the memes we were saying in 2022, he was playing that friendship football. He was more lenient with the players because he believed that as long as they're not doing bad outright on the field, they don't need to be micromanaged. They don't need to be iron fist led. No, he said that they can just go out, do the good, and be praised for it and treated like superstars. He actually, not that he believed they should be made big-headed, but he could treat you like a superstar. He could tell you, you're my guy. If you're playing well, you be my guy. I'm not going to start telling you to, you're not doing this. If you're doing good, he's basically like two different types of parents. So let's say one for like the first half of your life, you stayed with your laid-back dad. And your dad was that type of dad who's just like, if you're good, if you're going to school, if you're studying, if you're doing what, you can do whatever you want. Then at some point in that story, we move you to go live with your mom, and your mom is a tight end type of mom. She's an iron fist type of mom, and she says, no, I want to make sure everything. I want you to sleep at 8 p.m. I want you to go to school at 6 a.m. I want you to wake up at this time, study at this time, eat at this time, go to this time, do this at this time, come back home at this time. This is your curfew. She's just micromanaging and giving you these little tasks every day. Of course, coming from that previous system, you won't be too happy. And that's what's happening. So we were with the laid back guy. We were with Carlo Ancelotti. He was telling the players, you can, not that you can do what you want, but he built them up in this, we're all friends here. It's business first, yes, but we're all friends. We love each other. You can do this, but just perform. And then eventually start to lose that performances. So we had to remove him. And we brought in the manager like Xavi Alonso. And you bring on Xavi Alonso to find out and weed out the bad things in your club like they did at Leverkusen. He picks out the bad things, brings on his own mentality and changes from the inside. But the players are not accepting that. But this paints it like it's a picture of just Xavi Alonso's fault. No. Of just the players' fault, sorry. Like they're the ones who are just being uptight. Which they are. Well, I'll get to that in a bit. But it's also a bit of a fault of the manager. He needs to realize that the team he's coming to is very different. He, of all players, he's been at Bayern Munich. He's been at Real Madrid. He's been at Liverpool. These are some big, big benches, big locker rooms he's sat in. He knows the type of players, like what big players look like. He's played in 2013. He's seen people like Ronaldo, people like Ozil, people who genuinely have this like egotistical side of merit. Not that they're just big-headed. He knows what it's like to be in a locker room with people who've done great things and so start to feel like they need to be treated like people who've done great things. So this shouldn't be a shock to him, which is why I'm shocked that he's losing the bench. He knows that, of course, you have to be authoritative. You have to be an authoritarian in that club, but you don't have to microtaskly manage these big players like they're the players at Bayern Leverkusen, because that's just not who they are, and it's not going to work. And I think that's where this clash came, because you look at a player like Vinicius Jr., yes, give or take, he's not helping himself. He wasn't doing the best. Even under Ancelotti last season, it's not like he was playing well, then Xavi came and he's playing bad, and Xavi started removing him, so Xavi caused it. No, he wasn't playing well even from last season, but you look at him, if you start to treat him like he's a second-tier Premier League mid-table team player where you can just sub him out and bring him on as you will. No, because what that does inevitably affects his appeal, and his appeal affects his contract, and his contract affects his pay. So in the long run, he's thinking, you're diminishing me. Because if you're paying me less, I'm less valuable to the club. You've made Mbappe look more valuable to this club. So that's not good. So I can see where the infighting comes. To blame the players, I can say, one thing I want to agree with is these players are low-key becoming a little bit entitled. It's valid because for some of them, and it's the most, I would say, valid reasoning to become entitled, in the sense that a lot of these players who we are always hearing in this sphere of big heads at Real Madrid. I mean, it's Valverde. The guy's a machine. The guy's been doing everything from us since 2020. It's Jude Bellingham. You know already who Jude Bellingham is, and then he came and had that season. It's Jude Bellingham. It's Vinicius Jr. This guy had to work for his brass knuckles in this club to earn a certified jersey spot and get that number 7. And on top of doing that, he absolutely changed his game from being that measly, Brazilian who could skill and not finish for Jack, to now becoming the main guy, the Champions League winning guy, the guy who scored in both our finals, the guy who won La Ligas, the guy who's won El Clásicos. He's become a big guy. He's built a big trophy cabinet. The guy who's finished second in the Ballon d'Or. What? So you're not gonna come to this team and then expect these guys to just start acting like, they're conforming like we're just every other player. They're going to come with that mentality, but they have gotten a bit entitled in the sense that right now, you've done all that, but we're looking at the now. And in the now, this team is not playing well. None of these players are earning that jersey. Mbappe at the start of the season, I was impressed. But what I noticed is each goal he was scoring, he kept painting over these glasses I was wearing, turned them into some rose-tinted glasses. But now that I've taken those rose-tinted glasses off, I talked about in the previous episodes where I said I don't want it to become a situation where you're just a goal scorer and the team is not progressing. If I had to sacrifice your goal-scoring streaks for team progression and actual good football from everyone at the end of the day, I would without a heartbeat. These players need to understand that they have to work best for their meat. They have to work best to earn that entitlement again. But for me personally, guys, I do think that Florentino Perez, I think in his mind, at the end of the day, if it boils down to like crazy levels, it's easier to get rid of a manager, one guy, and his staff, than it is to start getting rid of selective players. So I unfortunately think this won't fare out the best for Xavi Alonso, because I don't think Perez is the type of coach who would dilly-dally with a coach. He would rather just say, okay, remove these and put someone who can find the best way to work with this team. But I still don't want him to leave. I'm bringing it back from when I left it. I don't want him to leave. This team still has very much potential. They just need to learn how to play together. They need to know how to handle each other. And Xavi Alonso needs to know that sometimes you have to be that strict mom, but sometimes you have to be that laid-back uncle and dad who let their kids do things because they're still professionals. But anyway, guys, for all these news outlets, all these news headlines I've told you from today, please let me know your comments. And if you can watch this before the game, comment down your thoughts of what you want to see in the Olympiacos game and your predicted score lines. I think if we're gonna win this game, we have to win. I think we're winning at 3-1. That's my prediction. But anyway, thanks for listening to this episode. Make sure you follow for those of you listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. For those of you on YouTube, please make sure you comment. Please make sure you like the video. Please make sure you share the podcast. It helps us grow here at Real Talk, and subscribe. Peace.